Hello. You're on mute still.
Hi. Crazy day, man. I gotta make sure this is that good? Can you,
It's
my
great.
little yoga setup? Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
Okay, so typically what I do, and you can tell me if this is not how you want it, is I have a computer off to my left, and I can see bodies that way and comment if I need to, and then I speak through this one. Is that fine?
It is, except for we're getting the delay.
Oh, you are?
It might be on my end. Yeah, I fixed that. Okay.
So am I okay now?
You are. And if you want, you can also turn on that video and look at that one too.
You mean like so that people have a different angle of me?
Yeah. But then keep that one on mute. Oh, yeah,
Did it?
you never turned on the audio.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna pin and spotlight that one, and then I can spotlight the other one anytime you tell me to.
Oh, wow. That's like a lot.
Well, we'll keep it on the one that you normally have it on. And then at any point in time, if you want to look at the other one, I can switch video.
So something like this is pretty much takes care of both.
Yeah.
Cool. And you see my whole setup or you only see the mat that I'm on?
I can see to the firewood and the edge of the fireplace.
Okay, so you see both mats.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I just need to grab blocks. Do you think people are going to have them or not really?
I don't have them.
So I should just pretend like nobody has them, or should I have them?
I don't think anyone's going to have them.
Okay.
Um, do we want to roll the dice on music or no?
That's up to you. What I don't, so I'm not familiar enough with the system to be able to like understand where you're coming from as far as like the volume adjusting. I usually have it set up just like this, and then I play my own music from a second device.
What are you using for the main? The
The
main,
phone, this
it's a
one.
phone, which is better quality video.
That's why I do it that way.
Yeah. I think we just gonna tell everybody to say play at the same time
Okay.
and listen from home. Legally, that's better too.
Got it. That's why I use a phone instead of a speaker. See, you know what I mean.
I do. I'm actually excited for this.
So
I mean,
it's funny
I'll be
because
doing it along with you.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, so the way I kind of was gonna map it out was I was gonna do a very similar thing that I did with my yoga for athletes, but there's a lot of like rolling around and body adjustments in the beginning to like get stretched out. And I'm like, that might be a little too confusing. So I'm just gonna do like a warm up of the body that like kind of heats from the inside out. And then we'll go through like 2 yoga flows and then bring them back down again.
Yeah.
Because it's only 45 minutes really. So
Yep.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Oh, where'd you go? Oh, there he
We have
said don't not to
35 people
worry.
registered.
Ooh,
Start showing up in about 3 to 4 minutes.
okay. So you're very yogic.
It's not that professional, to be honest.
Do one of these moves, like get a little harmonium going.
Treat it how you would your normal class. That's pretty good.
Did you listen through the playlist at all?
Oh no, no time whatsoever.
You okay? Take a breath.
Yeah, I am. I'm good now. It's just, building a company. There's a lot to do. But this is one of my
Exciting.
favorite moments every day is getting on the Zoom call with. Yesterday was 78 people,
Wow.
and being healthy for 45, 50 minutes, and then talking about health for 10 minutes after that.
Right on. So people are afraid of yoga, huh?
So this was the third class we did with this instructor, and
Mm.
people just like re show up to each one. So by our third class, we might be at 75 with you.
I know there's a couple of my students that registered because they asked about it, even one this morning. So
Awesome. All right, I need to pull up the playlist to put it in the Slack. We typically start about 5 minutes late, so do the normal like welcome, welcome as people start showing up.
and then is it a hard out at 7 or
So about half the people will leave when the class stops, and there'll be like anywhere 10 to 12 people that'll stick around for questions, and then they'll slowly fall off. So it kind of ends up being like a natural last question when there's like 6 people left.
okay? It's National Meditation Day or Worldwide Meditation Day.
I need to pick that practice back up.
Jump on. I do 2 days a week at 9:30
AM?
p.m.
Oh,
just before bed.
it's my running time. Should I get a block? I'll get a block.
Where are mine? They're outside. Hey.
All right, block water.
If you have a big towel or a throw blanket, you can bring that as well, but not necessary.
Where are you joining us from?
Sag Harbor.
Nice. It looks like Melissa has joined us.
Hi, Melissa.
Remind me where Sag Harbor is.
Sag Harbor is in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
So basically, the Long Island goes out east like a fork. So there's the North Fork and the South Fork. And right in between the North Fork and South Fork, there's an island called Shelter Island where I usually spend my summer. And just before you get on the ferry from the South Fork to get to Shelter Island is Sag Harbor. It's a little town on the bay.
Yep. I don't know the Hamptons all that well, other than Fire Island 10 years ago.
Well, I remember that.
Welcome, Joe.
Hey, how are you? Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
How are you?
Joe knows the drill. I'm on that camera, but I'm always looking at another one.
The timing of this class was perfect for me today. I was looking for a break, work Zoom calls.
Oh, good. I'm gonna actually rotate this because you know me, I'll go left side first. Do you have more calls the rest of the day, Joe, or you?
No, that's it, thankfully. Yeah.
Okay, good. Good, good. We have to do a dinner together via Zoom at some point.
Laura and I actually snuck out to Gurney's last Saturday night. We
And
were
you
thinking
didn't
about
tell a sister?
we were thinking about it, and we were like on the border. You know, we've been so good about quarantining and all. But I think we'll be back. I think we're gonna get a place for like the first 2 weeks of June.
Amazing.
Come out.
Good, good.
We'll definitely back then.
Do I see a flex? Is that a Michael Perlo? He almost got away with not saying hello.
Super muted. Yeah, it is a flex. What's up? How you doing,
Hi.
Flex? I'm just grabbing water.
Kevin, will you be muting or am I?
I will mute everyone except for you right when you get started.
Okay. Hi, Perry. Hi, Tia. I hope I'm pronouncing names correctly. Hi, Adam Rosenberg.
I'm trying to unmute it. Hello, Lauren.
I
Can you see me?
can't see you. It looks like your video isn't on yet.
Okay.
Hi, Gigi.
Hi, Gigi.
Hi.
Lauren, this is
And
Amy.
hi, Amy. I'm so excited to have you guys.
I switched it to the one you're looking at right now.
So those of you who have Zoomed with me before, this is like very cool that there's somebody that knows way more about this stuff than I do. It's like switching cameras, changing volumes. I'm just a yogi that can barely play the harmonium. Oh, do I see Julia? Hey, Julia. I have yet to make that recipe. I'm so excited to do so when it's time, when we have all the ingredients. We haven't gotten to a grocery store yet. Julia was super kind and sent me a recipe for spring rolls. For those of you who are joining and don't know me, I'm vegan. So anytime I find a fun, cool vegan recipe to try, and she sent it to me, but she had to translate it into English. So thank you for taking the time to do that.
Let me know how it goes.
I'm excited.
Yeah, for people who haven't met you before, why don't you introduce yourself as we're waiting for more people to show up?
All right. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Musselman, and I kind of tongue-in-cheek say that that is not a joke. That's really my last name, spelled like it sounds like it's spelled. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been in New York for 17 years-ish, and I'm currently out in Sag Harbor, New York on Long Island, quarantined for the last couple months, and we sort of turned our little bay bungalow into a yoga shala for the last few months, and it's been really, really great to connect and to do these Zoom classes, the IG lives, all the fun things. So I'm excited to be here. Like I mentioned just now, as some of you guys are joining didn't hear, I am vegan. I've been vegan for 4.5 years, and it was a process to get to that, you know, kind of eliminating things that didn't work right for my body, and then really taking the time to understand what did work right for my body. So if there's any questions about that, we can shoot a question up on the chat board or talk about it at the end whenever we finish flowing. I think maybe one other thing is anybody thus far brand new to yoga? If you want to like raise a hand, if you know how to do that, you could either raise a hand in the camera or raise a hand on the chat board, so I can just see anybody who's never done yoga before. Hi, Vicky. Don't worry, it's not scary at all. Anybody else never done yoga? Okay, I don't
In
see too
terms of
many hands.
yoga, what's the agenda for today?
So the agenda for today, we're gonna start out with like a little bit of a warming or a heating warm up. It's to start to ignite the inner body. We'll start out on our backs, do a little bit of a core warm up, and then we'll start to flow through some poses. So if at any point there's, you know, a pose that doesn't make sense to you, just take a peek up at the camera. There's a couple of angles, but I think the one I'll be speaking on, you'll be able to see my whole body, and I give a ton of instruction. So if something doesn't feel right, I'll probably tap into it via my words. It's been interesting also to not be able to put hands on bodies for adjustments, but I'm getting pretty thorough with how to do that with my words. So we'll flow through a little bit of a flow, and then we'll come down. We'll do a cool down, probably on the back. I'll give you some poses, and then we'll take a meditation. Probably my most favorite pose ever is called Shavasana. That's the final pose in this practice. It translates to corpse pose. And as I've developed in my practice, you know, it's always been my favorite pose, but it reminds me of that moment where you just kind of take a breath and everything goes away just for a moment, right? But Shavasana allows us to elongate that moment. So when we get there, when it's time, I'll let you know when that happens, and we'll be able to just take a moment where everything else in the world can be put on pause, and we can just be with whatever has happened over 45 minutes of practice. Does that work for you guys?
Thumbs up.
Cool. Any other questions before we start to get flowing?
Well, it's Helen's first time, so make sure you have your video on Helen so Lauren can give you some feedback and then be able to follow up afterwards. So this workout today, stretch yoga, is brought to you today by Lever Health. Lever Health is a health coaching platform. We connect our members one-on-one with certified health coaches to help them figure out what getting healthier means for them. Go ahead and make sure you have some water, make sure you have a towel. If you have a fitness device, like a lot of our members at Lever Health do, please turn it on, get started. And if you have Spotify playlist, it's in the chat. We're gonna all hit play at the same time when Lauren says it's time to start listening to the music. I'm gonna mute everybody, and we're gonna get started with a great workout. Handing things over to you, Lauren.
Yay. I do have one more question. Maybe Kevin, you're the best to tell. Is it too bright, the light that just started to come in on me? It is? Okay, I'm gonna put those blinds down really quickly because I realize that the sun is starting to set on that side of the house. So let me put those blinds down and then we'll get started. So that you guys know, our first position is gonna be lying down on your backs. Your feet are gonna come together and your knees are gonna drop open like a diamond shape. Now, some of you practice yoga, you might have blocks with you. If you don't have blocks, that's totally fine. Maybe you have a book or something, two books that you could put underneath your outer knees. That would help if your hips are really tight. If they're so tight that you feel resistance in that shape, then you can place your feet flat onto the ground, knees up to the sky. But the first shape is kind of like this with the knees, right? I'm gonna close those blinds. You guys lie onto your backs, get cozy. Ah, voila. Now, as you lie onto your backs, again, the feet are together if possible, the knees drop open, and see if you might feel the vertebrae start to relax into ground. Now, once you lie down and begin to let the body melt into mat, if it feels gentle and appropriate, place one hand to the belly and one hand to the heart. Now, if that's not comfortable for you, you could always lie your hands down by your side so the palms turn up. But can you close your eyes for a few moments? So the legs are in a diamond shape. The upper body is releasing as if you just pulled a gravity blanket, a weighted blanket over the body. And for the first few moments, there's no movement. See if you can be as still as possible. One of the most important things, if not the most important thing in the yoga practice, is the breath. So don't change anything about your breath, just become aware. How is it that you're breathing now? The breath might be shallow and lingering in the chest. The breath might be long and diving into the belly. The breath might be of equal duration, inhales and exhales equal to one another. Or maybe you notice that your inhale is longer than your exhale, or your exhale is longer than your inhale. It's just an observation. And the second thing I'll ask you to begin to observe is the weight of the body, the positioning of the body, and the way in which your body feels today, different than any other day, because every day we wake up in a different version of our skin. So just mentally scan from the toes to the knees to the hips, around the girdle of the hip, through the torso, up into the shoulders, the collarbones, the length of the arms, even the hands, the throat and the head and the jaw. One thing you might forget is your tongue. How is your tongue nestled into your mouth? And just take a mental note. Are we feeling good this evening? Are we feeling a little stuck? No answer is a right or a wrong answer. Now, yogis, before we hit play on our playlist, just settle into your Thursday evening practice. We'll settle in with a little vibration from this beautiful device, this beautiful instrument called a harmonium. So see if you can get to the bottom of your breath. Exhale all the breath out, get to the bottom, and then slowly, sweetly sip and inhale. Get to the top of the inhale and allow the inhale to settle in, cleanse in the body. And then again, we exhale. And 2 more times like this. Inhale from the belly, the heart, the head. Let the inhale do a little flip and reverse back out. Exhale, head, heart, belly. Again on your own, that 3-part breath all the way up. Vibration of sound, letting us settle into our practice. And all the way out. Beautiful, yogis. See if you might keep that sweet breath as we start to move. If you can, without doing much movement, reach over, press play on your playlist. And take your hands to your outer thighs, your outer knees, and start to peel the knees up to the sky and then inward towards each other. So you're still on your back and your knees are coming up and into the chest. You can give your knees a hug with the hands. And then if you need to make some circles because the hips have been kind of broadened for the last 4 minutes, make some circles in one direction with the kneecaps and then the other direction with the kneecaps. You might even like to slide your hands between your calf and your hamstring and give a little kick to the legs, like a baby on its back. And ironically, like that baby, we're gonna actually flex our feet up to the sky and take a position called happy baby. So with happy baby, most of you will reach your arms up between your legs, squeeze your triceps with your knees, and then slide your hands out to the outer edge of your feet. You'll bend your knees towards your armpits and let your back body weigh down into the ground. If that is very difficult to reach up for your feet because your head and neck and shoulders have to lift, well, just slide down your hands to your calves or your shins. And if that's still pretty tight across the shoulders, then land your hands at your hamstrings. So we've got 3 options for your happy baby. You're catching your feet, you're grabbing your calves, or you're letting the hands weigh onto the hamstrings. But the knees are bent, the heels are flexed to the sky. See if you can tap back into that nice, easy breath. Flex the toes, spread all 10 of your toes. Yeah, and if there's a little rocking side to side that feels good for the sides of the spine, the vertebrae on the back, just start to rock a little. If not, stay exactly as you are and just tug a little at the legs. Now notice, did your tailbone curl up to the sky? And if it did, can you iron the back body out? Send your bum down towards the front edge of your mat and your head up towards the back edge of your mat. Let's stay here for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Good, yogis. Now from here, we're gonna bring the knees close together and begin to start to rock and roll up and back. So we take that rocking and rolling like a playful child. The toes might land over the face. You might even catch a little airtime as you rock forward, and then get faster and faster with each rock and roll. So I mentioned we're gonna start to get into some core stuff. The next time you rock forward, can you rock forward and balance on the sit bones? As you balance on the sit bones, you might need to employ the use of your hands at your hamstrings to bring your collarbone closer to your knees. If that's a lot, you can always bring the hands back behind you so there's a little lift from the fingertips. Yeah, and then hug the knees in towards each other. If you are able, reach the arms out by the heels. And let's lower this down. So take an inhale at the top. Exhale, lower down halfway. The heels come 2 or 3 inches from the ground. The chest and shoulders are 2 or 3 inches from the ground. Then we take it back up. Employ the abs, bring the knees in and reach. Exhale lowers you down halfway to the ground. Yeah, they're kind of like little sit-ups. Bring yourself in and up. We call that Navasana, boat pose. And then back down, Ardha, which means half Navasana. Let's take it 3 more times. If you want to add on, you'll straighten your legs and lift your heart and come down. If you're keeping the knees bent, perfectly fine. We're at 2 more and down. Last one. As you come down, yogis, hover above the ground. So your shoulders, your throat, your heart is lifted, your belly's pulling down, your sacrum's pressing into ground, and your feet are 2 or 3 inches off the ground. If you dropped your heels down, see if you can pick them back up. Inhale here. As you exhale, knees come back into the chest, upper body presses down into the ground, your feet land, and you reach your hands down for your heels. Now we're setting up for what looks like bridge pose because we're gonna enter into some bridge presses. So hands come down towards heels like you're gonna grab your heels with lobster claw hands. And we'll push from the heels to the knees to lift the hip bones up. If there's a divot in the collar, can you snuggle your shoulder bones onto the ground more, lift your hip points up more, and then flex the toes, get some space between each one of your toes. We're gonna lower down, upper back, middle back, lower back, like a wave until the tailbone touches the ground. And then we'll go back up, second round, squeeze the tushy at the top, get the hamstring glute connection fired up, hug your heels in, hug your knees in, and then lower down, upper back, middle back, lower back. Third time we press up, we're gonna hold at the top. Palms are pressing down towards ground. Shoulder bones are sliding into the back body. We squeeze the tushy, we squeeze the glutes, and then see if you can press your hip points up higher, higher, higher. Let the belly water soften towards the back body. Breathe in, squeeze the inner thighs, squeeze the inner heels, push the ground away, look to sky, then lower down, upper back, middle back, lower back to the ground. Just like we did before sit-ups, bring the knees into the chest and release. Then we rock and roll again, forward and back. Yogis, this time get so much momentum that maybe you can rock all the way onto hands and knees. If that's not your jam, scoot the feet around to the side, roll over, come to hands and knees. Looks like a tabletop position. It's exactly what we call it, tabletop. Spread the thumbs across like you're gonna tap your thumbs towards each other. Spread the fingers so there's a slice of mat between each knuckle. And then drop the belly, lift the head, lift the tail. You're in a cow spine. What we want to see here is a pulling back of the heel of the hand and a shifting forward of the heart so that your heart comes in front of your shoulder bones. Chin curls into chest, you let out the breath and you round. That's cat spine. Move through that 3 more times. Inhale, cow spine, head and tail lift, chest moves forward. Exhale, cat spine, round and curl the back. Some of you want more of a wrist stretch so you can turn the palms around for 2 more. Use your breath. Push into ground. And then we're gonna open up the shoulders a bit. So walk the fingertips back to face the front edge of your mat. The heel of the hand is right underneath the pectoral or the armpit chest. Your right arm's gonna fly up to sky. Now, those of you who are tight in the shoulders, it might not open up that much. Some of you are able to wing the whole hand up to sky. Listen with your ears. The left elbow does a push-up as the right arm curls underneath. You turn your face so right cheek to the ground. Now don't get too comfy, we're taking it right back up. Inhale, swivel, open the chest, push into the feet. Exhale, curl under, reach across opposite side of the mat. Nice, guys. Yeah. Inhale, curl up one more time, reach to sky. This time as you exhale, we're going to unload. Shoulder comes to ground, right cheek, right ear comes to ground. Now your left elbow is bent. If you'd like, you can take it straight. You'll get more of an armpit stretch, shoulder stretch on the left. But drive the hips to center. So if your left hip is winging over the left edge of your mat, pull back in your tailbone. Now push into your feet, bring your belly towards your spine and look up underneath that left armpit. Everybody breathe, smile on the face. We're rinsing out the day. On the next exhale, you'll rebend the left arm if you have it straight. You'll push back up like a reverse push-up. Right arm goes to sky, unravel. Sweep that right arm back, tap it down, back to tabletop. Readjust, the right hand gets the weight. Now the left arm goes to sky, and we're just unraveling. So I have hyperextended arms. I need to bend my elbow a little bit, push into feet, unravel chest. 3 times we curl through, hover, look to the right, bend the right elbow. Inhale, open up. Exhale, curl through, look to the right, bend the right elbow. Inhale, open back up. Last time you come through, you land it, unload, outer left shoulder to the ground, left cheek to the ground. Look up underneath that right armpit. Nice. Check in, did the hips swivel off to one side of the mat? Can you imagine me hooking something onto your tailbone and pulling you back? And as your tailbone pulls back, your belly comes up. If you reach the left arm forward on the other side, make sure you're reaching the right arm forward on this side. Nice, guys. Check in with the breath. Where's the breath now? Beautiful. As you exhale, right hand comes under the chest. You push down, rise open the left, unravel the heart, and then sweep back down and around. Get that big old circle. Now, I just want to give you guys a little tutorial in Chaturanga because it's something you're going to hear in yoga often. If you have blocks, you can place them on their highest height in front of you. If not, just take a peek. Hands come forward. You're in more of a kneeling plank than you are a tabletop. So there's a little shift of the hips. Bend the elbows. See if you can tap your ribs and your shoulder bones come towards the blocks. Or your shoulder bones are in line with your hips. Draw the belly in, then push the ground away. That's your Chaturanga. So a lot of times we get confused with push-ups. Push-ups, elbows go out to the left and to the right. Chaturanga's elbows come towards the center of the body. Now, as you push the ground away, we're gonna sit back into what we call child's pose. Hips over heels, straight arms, look between thumbs. Now we'll take that 3 times. So come up to table, inhale. Exhale that little Chaturanga-like push-up. Beautiful. Inhale back up to table. Exhale, sit back to child's pose. Use your breath one more time. Inhale, table. Exhale the press. Inhale to table. Exhale, sit back, snuggle over the heels. If the shoulders are cooked, take the hands down by the feet. If the shoulders want a little more, table, tent the fingers, and let the head drop down between the shoulders. Now stay here and breathe 2 more rounds of breath. While you're here, yogis, can your elbows point down to the ground so the flat part of the elbow lifts up to the sky? That'll engage the shoulder blades. I think right about now you're all jamming out to some Bob Moses. Enjoy it. Let that seep into the skin, into the bones, into the breath. And then if your fingers are table tented, iron out the hands. We're gonna lift the hips just enough we can tuck the toes. Takes a little bit of strength. Lift the knees, hover the knees. Now I like to look back and make sure all 10 of my toes are touching the ground because the pinky toe, it likes to take a sip of tea. It likes to lift up off the ground. Check in with the elbows. Make sure the flat part of the elbow is facing the fingertips. Hover the knees, take a cow spine, the head and tail lift, and then tuck the chin in and start to unravel to downward facing dog. Downward facing dog looks like a big mountain shape. If you want to pedal out the feet here, go ahead, pedal out the feet. Shift from side to side. Get a little jiggy with it. Feel the music. Notice what's happening in the body. Notice what's happening in the breath. Flutter out the lips if you need. Shake the head yes, shake the head no. Long, slow inhale. Let that walking start to simmer down now. Let the integrity of the pose take over. Couple of tricks to down dog. If your heels are way up off the ground, let the heels come down, bend the knees. If your heels are pressing all the way into ground, lift the toes up, spread your toes. Now draw the low ribs in towards your back body and then wrap those inner elbows forward. Take a breath in. Let a breath out. We're gonna go on a little yoga stroll. So 1 foot and then the other walks to the top of the mat. 1 foot and then the other, 1 foot and then the other. Eventually you might have to come to table tented fingers. Eventually your fingers will lift off the ground. Catch opposite elbows. Draw the low belly in and up. Let the head hang between your triceps. And then just start to sway side to side. Yoga lingo, it's called a ragdoll. Some of you are lifting in the head because you're looking at me. I'm not doing anything special. Let your head hang down. Yeah. And then from there, switch the elbow grip so that you can sway the opposite way. And you know what I like to do here is I like to kind of just let my whole body bounce a little bit. Buoyancy in the knees, the shoulders, the throat. And then yogis, from here, we're gonna bend at the knees. We're gonna squat down low. So this squat pose feels like a happy baby pose, but now we're on our feet. See if you might sneak your triceps inside your knees and give a little pressure back into your triceps. Thumbs come to heart. You wanna feel like I'm pulling at your ears without lifting up all the way off your seat. Now, if you're super tight in the hips, you can grab that book or that block and place it underneath your tushy. See if you might press into the outer edges of the feet so your toes aren't rolling in and your knees aren't knocking in. You're lifting up in the heart, you're lifting up in the chest. Now lift up in your bum about 1/4 of an inch. So you're activating in the legs. Breathe in, breathe out. Can you start to equalize the breath now? So the inhale becomes as long as the exhale. Big power move, arms lift up. Take the next breath in, look to your fingers. As you breathe out, push into your legs, shoot the fingertips up. As you breathe in, cactus the arms and lift the chest. There could be a little lean back. Try not to dump into the low back, rather lift up in the chest. And then the arms rise up. The exhale takes you down, fingertips over the toes, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, we call it Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, sit low between the heels again. We're engaging in our squat pose. Now we start to do our little flow. So fingertips come down to the ground, lift up enough you can send your booty back towards the back edge of your mat, and then step back left foot to the back of your mat. Now yogis, fingertips can be on ground, hands can be flatter. If you have blocks, feel free to place the blocks under your hands, and we just shift forward and back. Really, really good here for a calf stretch. Make sure your pinky toes on the ground, and see if you can lift your left hip up in line with your right hip and just shift forward and back. Wake up the legs a little bit. Easy enough. All we do is gently place the left knee down to the ground, gently place. From here, take your right hand to your inner right thigh and start to push the right thigh open so that you're lifting up the big toe mound side of the foot. Now, right shoulder, it wants to slide into the chest. Can you roll the shoulder back and roll the left shoulder back? Now, some of you are a bit more flexible. You can come down onto the forearm of the left hand. Some of you might want a little quad stretch. So option is stay right where you are, hand on ground, forearm on ground, big toes off the ground. Option to reach back with your right hand, bend your left knee and catch the foot. That might be very, very easy for half of you and might be nearly impossible for half of you. So don't try to jam anything into this pose, right? You've got 3 options. Option 1, you're in this open lizard. Option 2, you're taking it deeper onto forearm. Option 3, you're catching the back foot and peeling that heel in for the quad stretch on the left side, so a stretch on the left side. Stay with me, take a long, slow inhale and a long, slow exhale. Before you take any big movements, can you rotate your chest up to look at the sky? Maybe even lift your chin slightly. Nice, yogis. From here, slowly come back so that your hands come to either side of your right foot. The back foot is on the ground, top of foot pushes down, and we start to straighten out the right leg. Right leg straightens, right foot flexes back towards face. If you have blocks, feel free to put them under your hands. Maybe you have a couple of books, you stack them under your hands. You want to feel your pinky toe flex back and tuck into your hip pocket. Imagine you could put your pinky toe in your hip pocket, but you're pushing your big toe mound away. Now, the key to this pose is not to round in the back. Instead, can you draw the belly in and up and lengthen your chest forward? So there's a lengthening in the back body. Breathe in. Want a little more to it? Start to wag the foot. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Yana breath in, breathe in, look forward. As you exhale, we're stepping onto the right foot comes down to ground. Frame the foot, tuck your back toes, and lift your back knee off the ground. Easy peasy, step your right foot back to meet your left foot. Now you have a couple of options. You can take the knees down or you can keep the knees lifted. We're gonna take that chaturanga push-up. Elbows hug into the body. Everybody lower all the way onto the belly. Unravel the toes, press into the toenails. Drag the hands back as you lift your heart up. It doesn't have to be super high. You see how low I am? Hug heels in, push into hands, push into toenails. While you're here, draw your belly button in and see if you can move the tailbone towards your heels. Little lift, breathe in. As you exhale, press chest down. You can come to tabletop or tuck toes, lift knees, press right up to plank pose. It's like a push-up. And then we find downward facing dog once again. We've been here before. Soften the armpits. Take a bend to the knees to lift that tailbone a little bit higher. Draw your low ribs in and lengthen out your throat. Breathe in. Breathe out. And about now, you're probably telling yourself, yoga's fun, yoga's fun, yoga's fun. Tap into the breath. Let the music fill your skin, your breath, and let it all clear your mind. Now from here, yogis, we're gonna move the right leg. The right leg lifts up behind you. It could be 2 inches off the ground. It could be 22 inches off the ground. Doesn't matter to me. But I want you to turn your toes down and plug your hip into its socket. Then a little power move. We're gonna take the knee in towards the chest, push the ground away and round the spine, engage the core. Inhale, take that heel back again, plug the hip into its socket. This time we're gonna curl forward. We're gonna take the right knee towards the right tricep, lift high enough. Maybe you step your foot right outside the hand. Maybe you need to stop halfway there and then hop it a little further outside the right hand. Lift up to table tented fingers, step your left foot outside your left hand. We meet in squat position. We know this one, we've done this one already. All right, find the breath, sip it in, then let it out. The next inhale, just like first side, arms rise, look to thumb. As you exhale, power up, push down to rise high. Then you inhale, elbows bend, lean up and back. Remember, we pick up the pelvis, we pick up the chest. Maybe it's a tiny tilt, maybe it's a big old back bend. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold over the thighs. So we've got another side to go. Inhale, drag collarbones forward, sit into the heels and lengthen the chest. As you exhale, bend the knees, squat pose. Fingertips down, right foot steps back. You're in that lunge-like shape. Now take those shifts forward and back, forward and back, forward and back. Spread the pinky toe away from the second toe. Lift the heart a little bit. Notice where you sink. Notice where you're gripping and see if you can find somewhere between too much and not enough. Your right knee gently comes down to the ground. You anchor your right hand and you start to heel toe your left foot a little bit wide. Now push into that left inner thigh and lift the big toe mound off the ground. Untuck the back toes, push into the laces side of the foot. Try not to collapse in the chest, but rather lift your heart up. Now you have all the same options that we had on side number one. Forearm can come to ground. You could reach back and catch a hold of the foot. But rather than making this a back bend, if you have the foot, pull it in towards the glute. So you're getting the legs stretched. You're getting the legs stretched. Good, yogis. Check in with the breath. I can only see a few of you on my screen right now, but Adam, roll the shoulders onto the back. Beautiful. Turn that chest up to the sky like you're saying hello to the sunshine, right? You're receiving and then you're giving the sunshine right back. Now we're gonna unload this, start to press back into the whole foot, release the back foot if you have it. Frame your left toes with your hands, and here's where we hinge back into half split. Don't let that be scary. It's half Hanumanasana. Flex your left toes, gather your chest plate forward, and then take the fold to your degree. Remember, we want to avoid a rounding and a hovering. We want to lengthen. Tuck back into the hip crease. Flex the toes. Breathe well. Now, if you're looking up at the sky or looking around the room, close your eyes and let your nose look down to the ground. Take another inhale. Take another exhale. Inhale, lift heart. Exhale, re-bend the knee. Plant the hands down, tuck the right toes. We're lifting up in the right kneecap. And then just step back to that plank pose. Those of you who know the chaturanga, lower halfway now. You use your knees or lower all the way to the belly, or you turn over the toes and lift the thighs. So if you're staying low, you're just in that low cobra pose. My friends who are taking this a bit deeper, upward dog, drag the hands back, drag the heart forward, push into the toenails. Breathe in, look up. As you exhale, you push back to downward facing dog. Hands and feet press down. Bend the knees enough your tailbone swoops to sky. Draw your front ribs towards your back ribs. And then hang out here for 3 breaths. Really imagine you're hanging, like somebody took a belt and lifted you up by your belt loops. And you're just hanging down, releasing tension, letting the head flood towards the ground, letting the breath start to detoxify, to cleanse the body. Easy enough, the left leg's gonna lift. Now it doesn't have to lift super high, it can just be a couple inches off the ground. Those of you who are super flexy bendy, feel free to take it high to the sky, but hug in, plug the leg into its socket. Practice round, we come forward, the knee comes to the chest and you round and wrap the back to the sky. Inhale, left leg goes up and back. Exhale, left knee towards left tricep, left elbow, left armpit. If you can step right outside the hand, do it. Otherwise, you tap the foot down, rearrange and step the left foot outside the left hand. Right foot outside right hand. We're back into our squats pose. Breathe in, lift heart. Breathe out, settle in. Now a little something for the shoulders. If the hips are cooked, place the block underneath your seat. Maybe there's a book, maybe you've got a small child. We're gonna take right arm inside the right knee and then place the right hand down. The left arm goes up to sky. So we're just rotating through the chest, getting in a little bit to the shoulders. Lift the pelvis into the body, then lift the heart up to the sky. Now, some of you have a deeper version of this. If you practice often, your shoulders are open. The left arm can come around the back. That's a half bind. Some of you are able to take the right arm around the front shin and find your left hand for a full bind. But what I don't want you to do is collapse the chest between your legs. So stick with me. Inhale, look up to sky. Exhale, settle into pose. All we do now is switch. So unravel if you have a half or a full bind. Left arm inside, right arm to sky. Yeah, now lift the heart. Use the knee and the tricep as leverage. If you've got a half or a full bind, you take it around to your degree. And then push into feet. Rotate chest to sky. Don't let that chest drop. Beautiful. Everybody breathe in, look up. Everybody breathe out, stay with it. Unravel, bring the hands forward. Table 10 fingers, booty goes to sky. Take a breath in, take a breath out if you like those ragdolls. If you prefer, you can bend at the knees, take the hands behind the low back. Now that we've worked the shoulders a little bit, knuckles interlace, knuckles go to sky. Any degree of straightening in the legs works for me, that works for you. Get into the hamstrings a little bit. Flutter lips if you need. Draw breath in, draw breath out. If you want, interlace the arms the opposite way. So opposite index finger, opposite thumb on top. And then again, you sway a little, you draw the belly in, you let the head be heavy. Imagine that the top of your tailbone is like the top of a waterfall and you're just trickling down the water to the pool of your head. Breathe in, breathe out. From here, guys, step to the top of your mat, release your hands, roll all the way up to stand. I think that might have been the first time we really took it slow to get to the top. So roll the shoulders out, forward and back. Take a chair pose, Utkatasana. Haven't been able to say that word today for some reason, Utkatasana. Arms lift up by ears. Now, I don't mind if the chair is sitting high, but make sure that your knees aren't way over your toes. You want to drive the knees back. You want to sit into your heels. You want to sit into your seat. And then we're just going to twist this out a little bit. Take the right hand back and the left hand forward. First thing to check in, did your left knee go along for the ride? Can you drive your left knee back? Strengthening the legs, rotate through the chest. Shoot magic out your fingers. Try not to crank your chin over your right shoulder. Let the chin follow the heart. So if your heart is looking over towards the upper right corner of your mat, let your chin look there. Pull the hips into alignment, breathe in, lift the head. Next inhale, arms go by ears. Next exhale, we switch, left arm back, right arm forward. Hold it. Watch that right knee, it wants to come forward. Can you bring the right knee back? Sit and lift simultaneously. What's up, legs? Good afternoon. Inhale, the arms come up by ears. Exhale, let's fold over the thighs. Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift, look forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold once again. Let's take this inhale chair pose. We've got one more little standing sequence, and then we'll come down onto the back, and that'll be a wrap. Hands come to the heart space. Push into the right leg, lift your left knee to your chest. With the left knee lifted, it's like a single leg Tadasana. Check in the hips are even. We don't want that left hip hiking up. Draw the breath in. And we start to shift back so that the heel comes behind you. You're standing on your right leg. Can you extend that left leg back behind you? This is warrior 3. I have my hands at my heart. Some of you will choose hands at hips for stability. Some of you will reach the arms forward for a full version of warrior 3. Take a breath, lengthen from heel to fingertips. Take a bend in the right knee, step back with the left leg. Now we're in a high lunge pose. Hands come to hips, straighten the legs. Hop that back foot in a couple of inches. Maybe you could get the whole heel down to the ground. Even out the hips, pick up the pelvic bone. We're tilting only halfway forward. Now, some of you have a lot more flexibility. You're welcome to reach the arms forward and tap down to ground. Those of you who are newer to the practice, can you stick with me? It's kind of like what we did on our knees, but now we're on 2 straight legs. So the chest is leaning towards the right big toes. There's a length in the back body. And your legs are feeling strong and getting a little bit of space. Stay here for one more inhale, one more exhale. Now listen, we're gonna turn all 10 toes to the left so your legs are wide. Your toes are facing the long edge of your mat. Option to take the hands down and feel the ground underneath your chest. Or you can take that interlacing of the hands just like we did in our forward folds and keep the heart lifted. Knuckles push back to the wall behind you. Find a balance between the heels and the toes. Find a balance between the outer edge of the foot and the inner edge of the foot. You kind of have to activate the core here. It's a pretty big pose. Prasarita. Now, typically when I sequence, we do a little dance all the way around the mat. So that's what we're gonna do now. If you have the hands behind you interlaced, release them down. Bend just your left knee. Yeah, so your right foot is pushing away. A little bit of lateral movement for the outer side of the hips. As you bend just your left knee, lift the chest. Those of you who know Skandasana, you wanna take it low, you get deeper into the hips, you sit down towards your left heel and you flex your right heel. I kind of like to stay lifted, but do you. Take a breath here, take a breath out. Now this is our transition. Transition is we walk our hands towards the left toes. Now we're in a low lunge. Look forward out over the edge of your mat and step your right foot to your left foot. Inhale, half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold, we call it Uttanasana. Reach the arms by the ears, chair pose, Utkatasana. Sit as deeply in your chair as you can without hunching the back. And then as you stand tall, hands come to heart, we bring the right knee up to the chest. Suction in the hips. Feel the strength of the legs. Flex your right foot. Stand tall. Breathe well. Gently, slowly start to kick this back. Right heel comes back. Tilt forward. If you come out of it, you need to readjust. That's fine. No judgment, right? This is yoga. Kick the right heel back as much as you can. Again, if you fall down, pick it back up. Hands could be at heart, hands could be at hips, or maybe you reach your arms forward as if you were presenting a gift. We all like to get gifts. Receive the gift of your breath. Awesome sauce. Gently, slowly begin to lower the right toes back. Arms could rise, you find your high lunge. Stability in the legs. Legs are super strong today. Pelvis pulls into body and you start to straighten the legs. Now, yogis, if you hopped your back foot in a little on the other side, maybe you hop it in a little here so the stance is shorter. Anchor into the ground, tilt forward. I like the guidance of my fingers on my iliac crest so that I can lift and lengthen. It's like I'm pulling my hips back away from my heart. Now, those of you who reach for the ground, take your full version of pyramid pose. The hands can come down. Those of you who are with me, start to notice, can you lift your arches of your feet? Can you scissor in the legs and get longer in the back body? Breathe 2 more rounds of breath. These are so nice. Alice, can you draw up your right hip a little bit? Take your right hip. Yeah, that was gorgeous. Beautiful. Now, the reliever pose, right? We start to spin the toes towards the edge of the mat. Feels like we're going the same way, I promise you we're not. Options here are to place the hands down and lengthen the chest, or interlace the hands the opposite way behind the back and lengthen forward. Feel the edges of your feet all around the feet. Can you lift up in your kneecaps? Can you lengthen from the hip crease to the armpit crease? Stay and breathe for 3. For 2. Yeah, those of you who are jonesing for that big fold, feel free to let the head go, pick up the belly and let the head be heavy, heavy, heavy. Now, Skandasana is to the right, so all you need to do is bend in the right knee. Good, you can keep the hands on the ground. If you're coming lower, your toes, the left toes turn up and you sit into your seat. We're pretty open in the hips, so some of you may be able to come down low into your Skandasana. I like to stay high. It allows me to feel the outer hips. Everybody draw the belly in, everybody pull pelvis into body, lengthen throat, lengthen back of head. Whether you're down low or you're leaning into your fingers, get long in the back body. Even out the breath. From here, we start to rotate, walk the hands to the right toes. You find yourself in that low lunge once again. Lengthen the back body, step your left foot up to your right foot. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold down low. Chair pose, Utkatasana. Last one, sit a little lower. Let's do one more shoulder stretch before we come down to our bums. Can you place the hands together above your head? If that is so, stay long in the back body. Bring your thumbs to the occipital ridge right behind the throat, at the top of the neck. If that's no big deal, sit lower and push your forearms up. Now, if your shoulders are super tight, that's okay. Just bring your thumbs towards the ridge of your shoulders instead. So it's either hands in prayer behind head or thumbs at shoulders. Breathe in, breathe out. Good. On an inhale, let's come up nice and tall. Release the arms. Stand up high onto tippy toes. If you're able, keep the arms reaching by your ears. Start to bend the knees. Keep the heels lifted. Big toe stretch. Slowly, like you're going down an elevator, one floor at a time. We start to lower hips to heels gently. Try not to drop out. If you need hands on hips or hands at heart, I'll meet you down low, hips over the heels. Whew. Can you send your knees forward, sit up tall, breathe in. Let that flushing breath kind of start to move a little bit more rapidly inside. The fascia has started to melt. The joints feel a little bit more freedom. The breath is easy. Now, yogis, gently just lower down the heels, lower down the seat. Woo, come all the way onto the back. Take your hands like little cat paws over your knees and lift your heels up in line with your kneecaps. Your knees aren't close to your chest, they're just over your hips. And then I want you to get a little pressure between the hands and the thighs. So push hands into thighs and push thighs back into hands. Your feet can be flexed or pointed, whatever feels best to you. But when you push your hands into your thighs and your thighs into your hands, you activate the intercostals a little bit, but you also widen your back body. I want you to feel the width in the back body. Tap into breath. Take right leg to sky. Turn the toes out, cross your right heel over your left heel. Now your right arm's gonna weave through. You catch your hamstring with both hands. If you've got a little bit more in the hips, bring the hands around the shin bone and figure 4 comes close to chest. Now, what we don't want to do is have the tailbone flip up to the sky. So soften the tailbone, let the shoulder bone slide down to the mat, and give that a gentle tug, a gentle tug. Some of you are new to the practice. I'll let you know we're very close to the end. Some of you practice with me often. Fun little 45-minute flow, hey? Now find your breath once again. And from here, release the hands. Let the left leg go out long onto the mat. Rotate the right hip and just give your right knee a squeeze. The left leg is long. The right knee comes to chest. Now, I like to keep myself honest by taking my thumb and pressing it into the crease between my hip bone and my quadricep. And then it allows me to release those deeper tissues. Hold on to your thigh with your left hand and start to cross the body. I keep my right thumb there for as long as I possibly can. And then eventually I let my right arm go out to the right. The chin will look over the right shoulder and you're in a supine twist. If you'd like, close your eyes. See if you might imagine a string of twinkling lights starting at your tailbone and trickling up to the top of your head. And with each inhale, the lights sort of illuminate. And with each exhale, they dim just slightly. Let's take 2 more inhales. And 2 more exhales. With each exhale, you might be able to move the shoulder blades closer to the ground. Nothing too esoteric here, guys. We're just going to rotate onto our backs. Take legs up to sky now, straight legs up to sky. Give a little pressure to the thighs with the hands. So you feel the lymphatic fluid start to drain from the feet, down the legs and out the hips. We're gonna bend at the left knee and turn the left toes out as you cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Bend the right knee, slide your left hand between the legs and catch either the hamstring or the shin bone. Try to keep your right heel in line with your right knee and then give a little pressure so that the back body gets broad. Michael Parlow, place your bum onto the ground, your tailbone, the lower part of your back, better. Alice, can you flex your feet a little bit? Yeah, good. Take a few more sips of breath in and a few more sips of breath out. Now, while you're here, I might as well tell you that yoga is not actually a physical practice. You can giggle, go ahead, it's funny. Yoga is actually a meditative practice. It's a practice for us to make space in the mind. Release the hands from the right hamstring or shin bone, bring the left knee in, take a rotation, land your right heel down. And then we've got that same thing, thumb to the crease of the hip. You can kind of dig around a little bit and release those tissues, those deep tissues. The right hand will come to the left thigh and you start to peel the left knee across the body to rinse. When you're ready, the left arm can release out and you get a little supine twist. Everybody will stay here for about 5 breaths, about 5. Everybody's breath is a different duration. Again, can you tap in that beautiful concept of a trickling light, kind of lighting up the vertebrae and then dimming back down again. Begin to peel left knee back into chest. Bring right knee to meet the left knee. And like we did way back in the warm-ups, wrap the elbows around the shin bone, maybe the head, neck, and shoulders lift, and you can give yourself a nice big squeeze for gratitude. This is that part where we call Shavasana. So as you release, if you need some fidgets, fidget the body out. Let the legs go long on your mat. Let the arms go long on your mat. Palms turn up to the sky for reception. Receive the universe and let the entire body melt down onto your mat, onto the ground, onto the carpet, onto the earth. Yogis, from here, close the eyes. Let the tongue fall back into the lower part of your jaw. And one more time, do a body scan. Can the entire body soften? Like there's a gravity blanket being pulled over you. And then bring the breath back to natural, normal, steady. No energy to exert. For one more minute, attempt to let the mind take rest. Let the body take rest. And be right here in this moment. Let this be your long, refreshing moment. The vibration fills your ears. Feel the vibration in the body and the skin and the bones and the joints. Let the work be done. Let a smile cross your lips. And see if you might send that good, beautiful, bright energy out to all the people in all the nations, in all the world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Let all beings be happy and free. And let that begin with you and with me. If you'd like to stay in your Shavasana right here for the rest of the evening, feel free to stay. If you're ready to wiggle fingers and wiggle toes, roll ankles and wrists. Maybe you take a big, good evening stretch of the body. Bend the knees and roll over to either side like a fetal position. And then gently, slowly press yourself up to sit in a way that feels comfortable to you. Let the hands come to the heart center, bow your chin in gratitude for this body, for this practice, and most importantly, for your breath, your lifelong partner. Yogis, the light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you, and I thank you so much for being here for our quick little flow. Namaste. Om Bolo Shri Sat Guru Bhagavad Ki Jai. Thank you, thank you. Hanging around for a couple of minutes for questions and answers the best I can. Thank you to Lever Health for enabling me to give you this practice to share with you because it's what I love to do best. Let me know, what do you have?
Awesome, that was amazing.
Hey. Are you still jamming out over there?
A few of us are. If anyone has any questions for Lauren, go ahead and ask. Typically what we get started with is, how'd you get started in yoga in your yoga journey, and sort of what has your yoga journey been like?
Well, I sometimes think I'm funnier than I am, but my answer to that question is kicking and screaming. I used to be more of a CrossFitter, a bit competitive, sort of, Kevin, you might be able to attest to this, carried a chip on my shoulder for a long time. And I truly think that it wasn't a choice of mine, but rather my destiny. I went to my first yoga class on Shelter Island with a friend of mine who promised to come to a boot camp with me if I would go to a yoga class with them. And very shortly after, I was going 4 times a week, and then I came back to the city and I was going twice a day. And one moment on my mat, it was as if I heard a little voice in my ear that said, this is what you need to do. You need to share what has come to you, because my life started to change. Not only in my body changed a lot. You know, I used to be a little bit thicker and with bigger muscle, but I found a spirit inside that I didn't really know existed, and maybe had been lost. So yoga and the practice of meditation over the last 9 years has really sort of pivoted my life's journey in a much healthier way. So it's kind of long, but
What do you think the effect of the pandemic is going to have on yoga practice in the foreseeable future?
are you referring to group practice or just yoga practice in general?
I'm referring in general, but feel free to answer however occurs to you.
Okay, well, I will say that it might be a while before we get in person and in studio. So I'll start with a very direct answer that I might be able to, based on like when we can practice together in group settings. I think it's going to be a while. So yoga may be, if you're seeking instruction via Zoom, via online platforms, that's kind of what we found. I really had to become a millennial faster than I'd ever wanted to, because I'm learning how to use all this technology. And in the broader scope of your question, I think, the yoga practice has been around since the beginning of time in one way, shape, or form. And we can meet in another time if you'd like, and I can talk to you about the history of yoga. My specialty now is philosophy and history, and I love that. But as far as yoga movement goes, I think it's a way for us to move our bodies, to continue to connect, because it is so much about the breath and this mind clearing, that I found it's been a blessing to have these tools and to be able to share them when there's chaos happening everywhere else. Really, it gives us a moment to not be so hurried in what are we going to do? How are we going to come out of this? But rather gives us time for ourselves to reconnect. The word yoga means to unite. It comes from the word to yoke, which is a harnessing and a steering, right? So as we come into the practice, we're able to utilize these tools in life. And so I think the shift of the yoga practice, hopefully, is that more people will engage and more people will give it a try. Does that answer your question?
That's beautiful.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Oh,
I see.
thank you. I'm going to go out and applaud the healthcare workers now.
Yay, do that.
Peace out all.
Bye, Adam. Bye, Amy. So
Hello,
nice
friend.
to see you
Awesome.
guys.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. That was an amazing flow. Thank you so much. We'll do one final question. A lot about what we do here at Lever is helping people build habits. So obviously you probably have a pretty good fitness habit in the fact that you're teaching quite a few classes. But what are some of the habits that you've built in terms of nutrition and sleep?
Yeah, that could take me all night as well. Anybody that has more questions, please feel free to DM me on Instagram, or we can set up a private session. But so I think being able to meditate daily is super important, and meditate doesn't always mean, okay, I have to sit still and do nothing and turn off everything, right? meditate might be come to your mat and move and allow the rest of life to kind of to pause for a moment. Meditate might be that we sing chants, right? When you find your favorite song and you just kind of play it 3 times in a row, and that might be your meditation. But to get into some sort of habit where you're able to just be with you for 5, 10, 15 minutes a day is super important, to clear out the busyness of the world, because we don't allow ourselves to do that often enough, right? And the great pause has kind of forced us all to be a little bit more introspective, but it is very, very important to take some time each and every day and get more introspective and just be with you as you are. As far as eating habits go, I said in the beginning, I became a vegetarian and then a vegan over the course of the last about 6 years, and that for me works well. At first, it was like, whoa, everything changed. My hair changed, my skin changed, my body changed. But as I continued to eat vegan in the vegan way, I grew into it in a way, and I feel better than I've ever felt. And you get to pick up on things you notice too. Instead of just eating out of the necessity or out of the want, the desire to eat, you kind of notice what makes you feel a certain way and how you can change it. What makes me feel lethargic? If I eat salads for 4 days in a row with nothing else, I might get a little bit sleepy. So I need to add some chickpeas, some beans, some things like that. But that takes time. So it's just dedicated. We call it sadhana, a dedicated practice every day, whether it's movement, meditation, eating habits, to start to learn how your body reacts and receives and then respond. Does that answer your question?
It does. Great. Sasha and Joe, do you guys have any questions? Otherwise, we're going to wrap things up. No. All right. Thank you so much. Looking forward to doing this again soon.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
lovely night. Bye, guys.
Bye.